Copper Scroll Time Capsule of the Heavens. A copper scroll was unearthed with the other Dead Sea Scrolls in 1952. It caused a sensation because the scroll described over 60 places where gold and silver treasures were secretly hidden. The lure of buried treasures excited imaginations and many explorations were held, but no treasures were ever found. There has been a recent development, however, where new research has shown the numbers paraded as talents and cubits on the copper scroll were in coded tables of astronomy. The celestial archive must have been profoundly sacred, seeing that it was sealed with the autograph of Yahweh. How the copper scroll was decoded. There were plus signs being some numbers on the copper scroll. Additions were intended, introduced the use of mathematical checksums. Greek letters and 7 spurs on the scroll form numbers into groups. Totals of additions of numbers in sequence in those groups compared to the ages of the patriarchs in Genesis chapter 5. In that way, those checksums identified missing numbers on eroded parts of copper, as shown in the spreadsheet copy of the copper scroll. There's the tabular version of the copper scroll from sites 1 to 29. The numbers which were paraded as cubits and treasures were the important items, and they are highlighted in yellow. The number 32, highlighted in red, was identified by the checksums as the missing number, as shown in the tables with Methuselah, Lamech, Seth, and Enos, all with 32, verifying that 32 was the missing number. It was similar here with 14 for the suspect number, identified by Lamech, Cain, and Adam, which verified that 14 was the suspect numbers. There's the 7 sets of Greek letters, and there are the spurs formed by extra treasures at 7 of the sites. The checksums had worked miracles, and the identified numbers allowed more additions, which revealed the orbits of the planets in days and the long-term cycles in years. The planets were with Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, and there's their long-term cycle in years. In this slide, the orbits are in dark green color and the cycles are in light green color. Now there's Mercury, the orbit of Mercury, long-term cycle 46 years, and there's a long-term cycle of 7 years in days, and it goes from row 25 to row 57, all in sequence down the scroll. There's Venus, the orbit of Venus there, and its long-term cycle of 8 years in days goes from rows 30 to 61, all the way down the scroll. There's Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter, and it's similar as you just experienced with Mercury and Venus, so browse them for yourself. The autograph of Yahweh on the copper scroll, reading from right to left in Paleo-Hebrew. Those 4 pictorial images were shaped by the spurs and Greek letters. See how the images compare to the original pictorial Paleo-Hebrew letters with Yod, He, Wa, and He. In English, we read as YHWH. Now there's the copper scroll, and where the 4 Paleo-Hebrew letters were positioned on the copper scroll, YHWH. The source of the numbers on the copper scroll. That was how the copper scroll was decoded. Those were snapshot views of the divine celestial knowledge decoded from the copper scroll, and they were signed and sealed by Yahweh. The bigger picture awaits you on YouTube, where my video outlines more revelations from the copper scroll, showing a timetable to forecast the future, the layout of a cross, the checksums explained, and there's the link to YouTube. And thank you for bearing with me. And I'll sign off now from this video.